Tonight, lawyers discuss parole options for a Regina man who pleaded guilty to killing his wife. Saskatchewan's professional basketball club undergoes a rebrand. And we catch up with Emily Clark as the hockey player heads to the Olympics.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Wednesday, February 4th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. I'm Ethan Williams. Thank you for joining us. A Regina man who pleaded guilty to murdering his wife will serve a life sentence in prison. But when he'll be eligible for parole is still to be determined. Laura Sharpaletti has our top story.
It's been about 8.5 years since Jason McKay killed his 33-year-old wife, Jenny McKay, at their home in Regina. This sentencing hearing comes after a surprise guilty plea 2 weeks ago. McKay's first trial took place in 2020, and at that time, the judge described the killing as one of unspeakable brutality. McKay was convicted and given a life sentence with no eligibility of parole for 17 years. Then, just before the second trial was set to begin, McKay pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, admitting he intentionally killed his wife, stabbing her repeatedly with numerous knives. Now back at court for a sentencing hearing, the Crown and defense made arguments for when McKay should be eligible for parole. The defense says after 12 years, the Crown says 18 years. Arguments included McKay's history of drugs and alcohol and mental illness, as well as his capacity to understand the consequences of his actions. McKay's daughter, Alyssa, delivered a victim impact statement in court, choking back tears at times. She says she struggles with the loss of not only her stepmother, Jenny, but also her proximity to her father following his incarceration. McKay also spoke to the court, saying he's sorry for the tragedy and that he wants everyone to be able to move forward. Sentencing has been set for February 24th. Laura Sharpaletti, CBC News, Regina.
Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is threatening to withhold funding to support new judicial appointments unless the federal government gives the province a say in who is picked. Her move comes as some in Alberta are calling for the province to separate from Canada. Federal Justice Minister Sean Fraser was asked about Smith's demand in Ottawa Wednesday.
Ensuring that we have an independent judiciary is a hallmark of democracy and a key part of the rule of law. At risk of stating the obvious, it's essential that we have a judiciary who's able to make decisions without fear or favor amongst those who have the power to appoint or, in theory, remove a judge from the bench. When you start to look at how you can protect that independence, certainly ensuring that there's not political threats about the resources that are going to be made available to do their jobs as part of it, but another part is actually have integrity in the appointment process to begin with.
Fraser says Canada's current system works well and includes input from the provinces, law societies, Canada's Bar Association, and the federal government. Strychnine poison won't be made available to kill gophers for the upcoming growing season in the province. Health Canada's Pest Management Regulatory Agency has rejected a request made by Saskatchewan and Alberta back in October. The request was for emergency use in managing Richardson's ground squirrels. The province suggested continuing the use of strychnine, but with narrower application windows, mandatory training, and more reporting requirements. But Health Canada determined the measures were not enough to mitigate the risks posed by the substance. The province says it has sent a letter to the feds asking them to take another look at the issue and says there will be consequences for farmers if strychnine can't be used.
In the letter, it mentions that billions of dollars of damage across Canada every year on damage by gophers. And that's just crop damage. You can add in livestock injury and stuff to that as well. And if we don't have the ability to use strychnine to control the gopher population, we're going to see another year that was just as bad as last year.
In a statement to CBC, Health Canada reiterated its stance that environmental and health risks posed by strychnine outweigh the need to control gophers. It says there are other types of poisonous substances that can be used to deal with the rodents that aren't as harmful as strychnine. The opposition NDP says it is looking at ways to keep young people from moving away from Saskatchewan. Its new project, called Your Future, Your Say, is aimed at hearing from young people in the province. The NDP says the project comes after recent stats show a decline in Saskatchewan's population for the first time in 20 years. The opposition suggests young people are leaving over a lack of job opportunities and the rising cost of living.
The goal of this project today is pretty clear. It's to engage young people about their future and talk to them, build those solutions for young people in this province so that they again see a future for themselves in Saskatchewan. A place and a destination to build their careers.
Over the coming months, NDP MLAs Noor Burki and Tajinder Grewal will meet with community leaders, young professionals, students and labor groups to determine the problems they face. The province says a decline in immigration is the reason for the population decrease. Well, you've heard it before. Eat more fruits and vegetables. And now, a new report from Heart and Stroke Canada says Canadians need to up their produce intake, which has been declining for more than a decade. Other factors like stress and smoking remain a problem, but the younger generation has a new habit to battle. Helena Mahalik explains.
Canadians are now more at risk for heart problems. Stress, smoking, and unhealthy diet choices are a big reason why, according to a study by the Heart and Stroke Foundation of Canada. Those contributed to Alana Trainoff's unexpected heart attack at just 40 years old.
If I could back and change, changing those habits earlier, taking medications that were recommended for some of the health issues that I was already starting to have as a young woman, listening to my body when things were starting to feel weird.
Diet plays a huge role in heart health, and the study says 1 in 10 Canadians have been eating less fruit and vegetables since 2015. Some experts say it's thanks to the economy.
Unfortunately, the healthier diet are also, in most cases, the more expensive ones. And I think that makes a big difference for Canadians, especially in this, current context.
Diet isn't the only problem. A lack of exercise and poor lung health are a contributor. Although adult smoking rates have decreased significantly, down from 50% in 1965 to 11% in 2024, it's the next generation that's in trouble, with 1 in 4 grade 12 students admitting to vaping.
It shouldn't be available to, kids of that age. And in terms of the long-term consequences, I don't think we really know, because this is still a relatively recent phenomenon. The fear is that this will be a gateway to other tobacco products.
The Heart and Stroke Foundation is calling on the government to implement policies that support healthy eating. Experts CBC spoke to suggest adding increasing taxes or warning labels on processed foods. Helena Mahalik, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The Saskatchewan Rattlers are no more. The Canadian Elite Basketball League team has changed its name, its colors, and also has new owners. And as Aishwarya Duda reports, there's hope that the refresh will lead to a renewed drive for a championship.
The team, formerly known as the Saskatchewan Rattlers, is now the Saskatoon Mamba. The color scheme is black and purple, which is different from the much-loved green and black, but it still has a venomous snake logo. The 2026 season will be played at both Sasktel and here at Merlis Belcher Place. The team, which recently dumped its head coach, has new owners. 2 businessmen from Calgary, Jason Ribeiro and Usman Tahir Judd. They also own Calgary's Surge, another pro basketball team.
This was not a fly-by-night decision for us. While the opportunity to make a second investment in a CEBL community only came about in early December 2025, we have been studying the Saskatchewan market and engaging communities across the province for over a year. Countless stakeholder conversations, quiet trips to Saskatoon, deep intention.
It's rare for a sports team to rebrand. Some fans have expressed disappointment. They say they like the Rattlers logo. The team will host a Rattlers Heritage Night to give fans a chance to sport their old gear. Analysts say a rebrand usually happens when a team isn't doing well or there's a big change in ownership. The team has struggled, missing playoffs for 3 straight years. But with this rebranding, new owners are promising the beginning of a new era. And standing here, you can just feel the excitement, the energy, and maybe, just maybe, the beginning of a comeback. Aishwarya Duda, CBC News, Saskatoon.
And one of Saskatchewan's biggest high school basketball tournaments gets underway Thursday. It is the 72nd edition of the Luther Invitational Tournament. 10 boys and girls basketball teams from Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Alberta will hit the court at Luther College High School in Regina. The tournament runs until Saturday. Stay with us. We have more news and Mickey's forecast after the break. Canadian snowboarding champion Mark McMorris crashed Wednesday night during a training run at the Milano Cortina Games. The 3-time Olympic bronze medalist had to be taken off the course by stretcher. It happened during a big air training run where riders do 4, 5, or more spins after taking off from a ramp. The 32-year-old was preparing for Thursday night's qualifying event set to take place the day before the opening ceremony. It is still not clear if he will be able to participate. Saskatoon's Emily Clark is ready to play for gold at the Games with Canada's women's hockey team. It is not the hockey player's first Olympics. She was also part of Canada's gold medal winning women's hockey team at the Olympics in Beijing in 2022 and the silver medal winning team in Pyeongchang in 2018. She spoke with CBC's Peter Mills ahead of her trip to Italy and before she hits the ice against Finland on Thursday.
Emily, how does it feel to be the lone Saskatchewan player on the team?
I mean, it's a huge honor. I'm excited for when there's another Saskatchewan girl with me, but you know, I'm so proud to be from Saskatchewan. So to be able to represent our province on that team means a lot to me and something I definitely don't take for granted.
These are the first Olympics since the success of the PWHL. How do you think that's going to influence the Games?
I think it's going to be, you know, some of the best hockey we've seen yet. I think, you know, the PWHL, for the players that are playing in it, it's just elevated all of our games, getting to play best on best as frequent as we have, because we've been missing that for so long. And the Olympics are always so exciting. So now you have, you know, players from many countries in the PWHL. All of us are pushing each other. And when we go back with our national teams, you know, that work is definitely paying off. So I think throughout all the pools, the competition is going to be tough and physical and great hockey.
I wonder, though, too, you know, about team chemistry. Do any of the rivalries get maybe in the way of the Olympic team as well, now that you are playing against each other more than you used to?
No. I think if anything, it brings us closer. I think you have even more appreciation for each other when you have to go against each other and you realize how big of a pain in the ass some of your teammates are. So, no, it's fun. I mean, we go to battle, like we're competitive, you know, women, but that's why we love it so much. And, you know, when we played Montreal last night and, you know, you're going into a corner battle with Pooh and you know that you have to give it everything you have because she's as strong and skilled as she is. It just makes you better. And again, you just have that much more appreciation when you get to be in the same jersey as
She's
them.
not going to give you trouble for giving her an elbow in the boards, or?
No, she probably gave me one first.
Okay,
right?
Fair enough. Whether you've won the national, you know, the World Championship or not, whether you've beaten the Americans or not, Canada always turns it on the Olympics. 5 out of the last 7 gold medals. What is it that makes this team special when the Olympics come around? Is there a different attitude? Is there a different motivation?
Yeah, you know, I don't think I have the answer, the blueprint to why that is, but you know, I think when it comes down to it, pound for pound, it's, you know, both teams are incredibly skilled and talented, and you know, more than ever around the whole world, women's hockey is so competitive. So there's going to be a ton of tough competition and tight games, but I think it just comes down to the fire that you can light inside yourself and the motivation. And, I think every moment in a gold medal game matters. And that starts at the start of the tournament and taking care of every face-off detail, every breakout in the prelim, and setting yourself up for success to make it to the playoff round and hopefully the gold medal game.
And weather specialist Mickey Wolf joining us now. I'm sure hoping all the snow for those outdoor events in Italy isn't going to melt away like it is here in Saskatchewan. Things getting really, really slushy out there, Mickey.
Things are getting slushy out there, Ethan. That's absolutely correct. The roads are looking a little bit messy right now, and let's hope that things at least start to melt off a little bit more over the next few days. Let's take a look at some of our daytime highs today because they are significant. Now, you are reading that correctly. 15 degrees as our high for Maple Creek today. We'll have to wait until tomorrow to see if that shakes out to be close to the record, but definitely a warm day, especially for that southwest part of the province. Seeing those highs creeping up to +8 and maybe moving towards double digits this week. Right now, our skies are looking mostly cloudy for the evening tonight. And taking a look at our week ahead, we shouldn't have too much precipitation across the south and central parts of the province, but in the north, we are expecting a little bit of snow over the next few days. That low pressure system making its way out of the province. We will see a high pressure system coming in and just narrowly missing Saskatchewan, but we're definitely going to see those effects in terms of our clearer skies, a little bit of mix of sun and cloud over south and central for the next few days moving into Saturday. As for the snowfall accumulation, again, we're not going to see too much of that over the next few days into Saturday. East Central might see up to 1 centimeter for Melfort and Hudson Bay, but in the north, we are getting a little bit more of a moderate snowfall. So until Friday, we are seeing, around 1 to 3 centimeters, and then the Losh is going to see potentially up to 7. And then as we get into Saturday, we are going to see a little bit more snowfall across northern Saskatchewan, potentially up to 8 centimeters in parts of the Churchill region. But we've also got winds to contend with here in south and central Saskatchewan. But again, not too strong of gusting, just up a little bit past 55 kilometers an hour tomorrow. And then moving into Friday, we may see some gusting up to 40 kilometers an hour. For our temperatures, things are looking nice and warm as we move into the weekend. We're seeing those overnight lows dipping down a little bit cooler, but certainly not like we saw in January. For Regina, we might see some mixed precipitation on Monday. But again, these temperatures over the weekend, we are seeing that nice warm up. And then things are going to start gradually cooling off moving into next week. And it's much of the same for Saskatoon, except for Monday, we might see a little bit more snowfall for Saskatoon in that 2 to 4 centimeter range. Again, with those temperatures just hanging out around 0. So Ethan, it's a good thing that the winter games aren't taking place here because we're definitely seeing some melt across the province.
Yeah, it might be a bit of a challenge for aspiring Olympians who are out at Mission Ridge or Table Mountain looking for a ski.
Yeah, to do it at the same time as the Olympics right now, Ethan, it's not looking so possible.
Yeah, not so good. Okay, Mickey, thank you.
Thank you.
Conservative MP Jamil Jivani is in Washington this week. He is a longtime friend of U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, and he's hoping to thaw U.S.-Canada relations. But the Liberals are expressing skepticism about the trade mission, including the Prime Minister.
Prime Minister, what do you make of Jamil Jivani going down to Washington?
Do you endorse Jamil Jivani going to Washington?
We have extensive contacts with the U.S. administration, constant contacts with the U.S. administration. Minister LeBlanc gave a briefing to Mr. Jivani, who I don't believe is the trade critic for the opposition, certainly not the Minister of International Trade or the Prime Minister.
So what do you think he's going down there?
Carney also said he continues to speak regularly with his U.S. contacts.
For Best in Show at the 150th Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show is the Doberman Pinscher.
That is Penny, a 4-year-old Doberman Pinscher with a Canadian pedigree. She won top honors Monday night at what's considered the most prestigious dog show in the world. More than 2,500 dogs and 200 breeds vied for the top prize. Finalists included an Old English Sheepdog, an Afghan, a Maltese, and the runner-up, a Chesapeake Bay Retriever named Coda. Penny's breeders are in Newtonville, Ontario, and her co-owners from Toronto. We're back after the break. Welcome back. Regina's Farmers Market will soon be returning to familiar quarters come the spring. It is expected to be back on Pat Fiacco Plaza downtown. Construction in the area had forced the Saturday edition of the market out of its regular spot and moved the Wednesday edition onto Scarth Street. Both will now be back on the plaza beginning May 2nd. It comes after a farmers market survey found most respondents preferred having the market remain in the downtown. Mickey, I think a lot of people are waiting for that even warmer weather when we have no snow and can bring that market back.
Oh, me too, Ethan. I love a farmer's market. I love to see those local producers out and sharing their goods. Let's take a look at tonight. Things are starting to warm up, so I'm hopeful that the farmers market will get here sooner rather than later. We're seeing those temperatures above freezing for most of South and Central Saskatchewan tonight, so it's definitely a warmer evening. Even in the Churchill region, we're seeing those lows just down to around -3 for most of the region. Things are staying quite cool in the far north. We've got those temperatures reaching about -20 for the daytime high for folks in the far north tomorrow. And in the South and Central region, we are expecting another beautiful day. We've got those warmer temperatures again for Maple Creek, potentially seeing that high of +14. And then we've got those great temperatures as well across the region in those mid to upper single digits, especially for the south. So Ethan, it's safe to say that spring, at least for now, feels like it's on its way for Saskatchewan.
Yeah, maybe some early farmers markets taking place. Okay, thanks, Mickey.
Thank you.
And finally, here's a moment that many Canadian baseball fans will remember.
So the tying run is at second. The run that would win the World Series is at first, and Joe Carter is the batter.
Here's a pitch on the way, a swing and a belt. Left field, way back. Blue Jays win it. The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run in the 9th inning, and the Blue Jays have repeated as World Series champions. Touch 'em all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
Joe Carter's walk-off home run to win the 1993 World Series. The Blue Jays are now putting up a statue of that moment outside of the Rogers Centre. It's part of the club's 50th anniversary celebration. Something lots of people will remember for sure. That is our news for this Wednesday. For more news anytime, you can always head to our website or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel or download the CBC News app. Thanks so much for watching.